In terms of those kids, children that are about to get married, what would you say would be a good daughter-in-law or son-in-law?
Okay, I would say it's difficult for me to say daughter-in-law because I don't have a son, so I can't really answer that question. But because I have two daughters that must get the son-in-law, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about him as a son-in-law. I mean, I'm gonna talk about him as my son because I mean he's getting married to my child, so he becomes my child as well. I would say he must love her dearly. He must care for her. He must provide for her. He must have respect for her. Respect is a very important thing. He must have respect, love, provide, care for her. I mean, if someone is rude to his wife, he must be able to stand up and say, listen, yeah, I don't care who you are, but you're not going to talk to my wife like that. I mean, he must come up for his wife, doesn't matter what. What I mean by that is not if she's wrong, he must still stand up for her. I mean, if she's wrong, she's wrong. But if she's right, he must be able to stand up for that child of mine.
In terms of providing, what would you define would be a good, you would feel comfortable with providing?
I mean, he must have a decent job. I mean, that's quite very important. He must have a decent job. He must be able to afford a car. He must be able to at least have a house for them and furniture. I'm not talking about this biggest TV that you can buy. What I mean by provide is not luxuries. I mean, they must at least have a car, a roof over their head, some furniture, and I don't want to worry about my child the week before payday. Does they have food? Are they okay? Do they still have electricity? I mean, I don't say he must be rich, but he must be able to provide for and having one day their children.
What if he or she is an entrepreneur, which might not know what he wants to do, he or she not want to know what they want to do, but are trying to figure things out? How do you go about that one?
That's actually a difficult question because, I mean, I have nothing against that, but as long as he or she, he actually, can still provide for my child. I mean, if that entrepreneur can still make money for you and you can still pay your rent, buy your guys your food for the month and still be okay, that's fine with me. As long as I know my children are fed and they have a roof over their head and wheels under their asses, then I'm fine with that.
In your situation, however, at a period of time, it wasn't like that, where actually family, you had to depend on family. Yeah. So what if that happens in your case?
I mean, if that happens in my children's case, obviously that is where me and my husband steps in because we know exactly how that feels. I mean, we had a child in grade R and we were depending on family. I mean, if the situation is like that, obviously, I mean, my child knows. I will never say, oh, no man, there you go. I'm gonna send you away. No, never. My child knows and mommy and daddy is always there for her. But so in a situation like that, I will never send my child away or abandon her. Never. That is why we are parents. Or family.
I know that you don't have a driver's license currently. What is it like? What would you recommend for a girl out there or a guy? Should they get a driver's license as quick as possible? Not necessarily a vehicle, but just the license that they can drive a vehicle.
Well, that is actually a very fair question. I would number one say, as soon as you're old enough to go for your learners and your license, get that over and done with. Yeah, like you said, not necessarily have a vehicle, but at least you know you've got your license. That is one thing I would say, don't make this same mistake as me. Because getting by or always asking people, please take me to town, please. Sometimes my husband is busy now, I have to take me to town because I don't have a license. Yes, I will get in big trouble if I get caught with driving without a license. So I would say don't make the same mistake as me. I'm very lazy when it comes to that. I know that I must go for my learners again and then go back on the driving school, because what happened, I would say make the same stupid mistake as I did.
Okay, however, on the rise of technology, as well as we see a company like Uber, as well as or taxis available, as well as something like Tesla with driverless vehicles. Would you still recommend someone to drive? Because I would probably assume by the time your youngest child is out of school, or at least 17, then she doesn't even need a license. So what would you recommend about that?
Well, I grew up in an old school, so I would say get your license, get it over and done with. Even though there's Uber, I've got nothing against Uber. I've got nothing against Uber. I mean, especially when you go out, have a few drinks and you can't drive home. I mean, that's been a very good idea, using Uber and stuff like that. But in general, I would say get your license, and as soon as you obviously then can afford a vehicle, then and at least you know you've got your license.
If using an alternative form of transport, let's say the government provides a transport, what if it was cheaper to rather use something like Uber than actually have your own vehicle? Because not just having your own vehicle, you also have to have this have an insurance, pay the petrol, as well as pay the vehicle. Would it not be cheaper actually using something like Uber?
I'm sure it will be, but I'm sure it will be cheaper using Uber if you think about all of these. But I would say, as you have a degree behind your name, you might as well take the step with and get your license behind your name. That's what I would say.
Let's quickly sanitize our hands. Well, Mom, thank you for sharing your story with us today. I'm a Kurzme old boy, and traditionally we say, please will you accept this token of our appreciation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.